Okay, he's texted me we are live now. So we'll begin with our AMA session for today. So hello and welcome to everyone who are watching this stream right now. The GNU Linux Users Group presents to you the first Ask Me Anything
Yes.
session. And today we have two very distinguished alumni from our college, Mr. Deepjyoti Mondal and Mr. Kaustav Sarkar. We hope that we can have a great session today and we can get all the questions from the audience answered here. So just to give an introduction, Mr. Deepjyoti is currently working as a site reliability engineer at Atlassian. He graduated as an engineer in the field of information technology from NIT Durgapur in the year 2018. He has been an avid open source contributor since college. He has contributed to FOSSASIA's projects and also participated as well as mentored at the Google Summer of Code and Google Code. Mr. Kaustav here has graduated as a biotechnology student in the year 2014. He began his journey by working in Tata Consultancy Services, and then from there he worked his way up in the field of computing, which landed him at Oracle. And then, but he didn't stop there. He strove for growth and he has started a new chapter in his life. He is currently working as an application engineer at Google in Hyderabad. So, quite the resume, both of them, I must say. So to begin, like first I would like to go to a rather light topic, and I would to ask both our speakers to like give a light glimpses of how was life in college. I mean in terms of academics, in terms of learning, and in terms of obviously fun, and how was working in the tech industry been so far for them. So if you can, Mr. Kostov, can you go first?
Sure. So, life at college was certainly a lot different than what it is right now. So, for me specifically, I was in biotechnology, and we didn't do much of coding. So, the first coding class which we had in our first year was C, and the first problem which taught us was how to print hello world, right? Like in any coding language. So the first question in my mind was, if you are printing hello world on the screen itself, then how is it going to again come up on screen? So that is where my journey started in computer science. That's how it started. Then if I just talk about biotechnology, I was not very much interested in my first 2 years. That's the second and third year, but I gained a bit of interest by my final year, and we had certain projects which we had to do, and it was particularly fun. So, and biotech labs, as you know, they are pretty long, right? So sometimes they span for like days, and sometimes they span for a week as well. There was not much academic which I did during the college years, to be very honest with you all, but I mean, I should have, but I didn't. But that was mostly fun, and the fun which we had is mostly blurry in my mind right now for different reasons. It's been some time, and to be honest, the 4 years were very very fun to me. College, internet, friends, and everything. The collaboration which we did, we had. So I was working as a training and placement representative for biotechnology. Then we had our Gymkhana elections, which were then cancelled, unfortunately. So we did some work around Gymkhana elections as well. One of my roommates was standing for one post. So these are the fun activities which we had at that point. We got to interact with a uh, huge number of people during our college. I mean, people from different backgrounds, different doing different degrees, BTech, MTech, uh, MCA, MBA. We met all those people. That was a time in our final year which was pretty not exact final year. That was our third year, during the end of third year, which was pretty interesting. And if I talk about my professional career, so the life in IT has been mostly good for me. I developed my fascination and my love with coding while I joined TCS, and I started writing my first line of code. So I felt it kind of empowers you, and you can do a lot of stuff just on your system at your home, sitting on your couch, right? So that fascinated me a lot. So that's where my love started, and then I kept learning. My first project was with TCS, where I was working for a bank. It was basically a web application with JSF Java. I mean, it was archaic technologies. Then I worked in big data sphere, where we worked on Hadoop, Spark, and there were the HBase, uh,
Yeah.
Uzi, and stuff like that. So it was pretty interesting. Then I moved to Oracle, where I was again an application engineer. So we worked on creating custom solutions for our own sales representatives. Pretty interesting. I worked as a full stack developer there. I mean, full stack developer, when I mean, it's like we build front end, back end, we deploy our code, and we maintain our code. And again, in Google, I'm again working as an application engineer, like Nikhil mentioned. And what here as well, I'm working as a full stack developer, where we work at front and back end deployments, monitoring, and maintain our entire infrastructure. So that's
Yeah.
about me.
Deepjyoti sir.
Yeah, so as Kaustav mentioned, college life was very different than what it is now. For me, I won't say that like college wasn't my introduction to computer science. I was into this thing before, even before I joined college. So yeah, it's not like that. The introduction to C was the first piece of code that I wrote. So again, I am from information technology, which no more exists right now, I believe, in our college.
Yeah, it
But
doesn't.
yeah, so first year was, I guess, the most boring years of college, where we did subjects which, apart from that introduction to C, which I still don't understand why we did, but yeah, we did. So just like everyone else, I what can I say? I should term it as peer pressure. I started doing competitive coding. I won't say that I enjoyed it, but I just did because my friends were doing. So, but yeah, one thing, good thing happened. I could also explore, those data structures algorithm, whatever you call, use via that. So yeah, first year I was doing that. Second year it started becoming more fun. We were getting into, our department subjects. So I started to enjoy way more than what I did in first year. But from second year I realized that, like, again, it's completely my perspective. Like, competitive coding was not doing any good for me. I got totally bored. I was like, no, this is not what I want to do. So I had this very awesome friend circle. I must say, like, 50% of what I learned, what I know today, is what I learned from the discussions which I had from my
Mhm.
friends. Which I'm very sad that you people are missing that right now. So I don't know
Yeah.
how much you people get to interact with each other, like, virtually. But we used to go to each other's hostel rooms, pick up something, read about it, discuss about it, all sorts of discussions apart from education as well. So, so, but yeah, so it's like from second year I got introduced myself to open source. I started exploring projects, open source projects on GitHub. I had one of my friends who was, very enthusiastic, like, very excited about these things. I learned from him also quite a lot. I started exploring myself. So, people. So some of my friends said, so there is a thing called Google Summer of Code. Uh,
Yes.
at the same time, I was doing, research at, I would say, yeah, kind of research activity at one of my labs, like under one of my professors, and so I started exploring that. Then, however, I couldn't make it to, Gold Summer of Code in second year. So, like, a lot of things were new for me. When you join the IRC channel, you will, like, people are talking about CI, CD,
Yes.
deployment, all those things, Git rebase, and merge conflict. I was like, I had some idea, but it was too much for me at the same time. And I, I played very defensive. I applied at an organization which was very small. I was like, okay, let me be safe. But it wasn't safe actually. So that org didn't itself get, enough slot for Google Summer of Code. So my application got cancelled just like that. so, and then so I completely did, I was completely associated with my research activity. And during that, I fully focused on that. As a result of which, I got my paper published in, when I was in fourth year. Finally, my paper got published in one of the journals. So on in third year, I was like, damn, I had to get into this year's Google Summer of Code because I didn't want to go into these these normal conventional internships at I know Amazon or something Microsoft. I didn't want that. I wanted to do something related to open source, and GSOC was the best thing. And the other reason I didn't want to do that was I had completely left competitive coding. I was completely out of touch. Whenever I used to see those competitive questions on Boardshare, my uh, till at this point of time, my mind simply shuts down. I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. It's totally boring. So I started contributing to Firefox. I started contributing to FOSSASIA, some other couple of organizations, whichever I found interesting. So yeah, third year was mostly this, trying to find out what interests me, what I want to do. Then I got into Gold Summer of Code. I got interest, exposure to a lot of things. Some firstly, what is continuous delivery, what is testing, what some of the platform tools like Kubernetes, cloud, all these kind of things. I got Docker, like VMs, all these kind of things. So then, again in fourth year, we had a lot of fun with our friends. We participated in hackathons. We won prizes. That year, Government of India launched, what is called Smart India Hackathon for the
Smart
first
India
time. Like,
Hackathon.
yeah. So we went there. We won we were the first runner up in the Ministry of Education. So yeah, that was real fun. So finally, placements came, and I was like, sure, I am not going to get into any company because I didn't remember anything from competitive coding. I understood DS algorithm, but you give me 40 minutes and you ask me to solve two questions that I'm
Mm.
medicine ho payega. So I was like, shit, I'm not getting into any company. And the first company was Directai, who is
Yeah,
infamous for asking all those algorithm and
yeah.
DS questions. I was like, no, it's not gonna happen. I sat, I got cut off. And then the other part of Directai came. Directai, at that time they called it DevOps, which is now Site Reliability Engineering.
Mm.
So as some of you know, like DevOps is actually not a profile; it's a culture, and SRE is the thing who implemented. So basically, so that thing came, and I could get myself through that interview. So that's how my career started in as a SRE in DirectI. After that, I kept in the same time I kept contributing to FOSSASIA. I mentored a few students in the next year's Google Summer of Code, Google Code in all those things. And then so DirectI had still has a startup culture, and it was like I got exposed to a lot of technologies, uh, infrastructure, coding, scripting was like it
Mm.
was happening. So that was that 2 years at DirectI was like a roller coaster ride for me. So after that, recently I switched. Like last year, I switched to Atlassian again as a site reliability engineer. So yeah, here it has been pretty smooth till now. Learning a lot of things. I hope to learn a lot of things in future. So yeah,
Okay,
that's how it
thank
has
you.
been.
It was really insightful, and I must say, missing college due to a global pandemic has really hurts a lot. So moving on, I have a question for Kaustav. Can you share some insights on the level of upskilling required to switch jobs from a service-based company to a product-based one?
Sorry, could you repeat your question?
I was asking you to I asked that what is the level of upskilling required to switch jobs from a service-based company to a product-based one? Like
Okay.
to put it simply, how did you prepare for the switch?
So, I mean, the first thing which we need to change if we are in a service-based company is that the mentality. right? So
Yeah.
the first thing is we should not be comfortable with whatever we have. We should always strive to get more, learn more, right?
Yeah.
And uh, another thing is in whichever company you are going, right? Even if it's a service-based
Mm,
company, and if in a service-based company, if it's a small project, a very essential thing which I always say is that learn the system on which you're working. Your project could be a small project, but the system in which it is running, it is going to be a huge system, right? That is why it is coming to such companies like TCS and FOSSASIA, because they can manage huge systems. So learn that system, right? And while you're learning that system, you would be getting you would be upskilling yourself while you're learning that
yeah.
system. And always, like Deep Jyoti mentioned, uh, don't restrain yourself with the thing which you are getting on your way. Like Deep Jyoti explored a lot of things, right? Apart from whatever his curriculum had to offer, or whatever the general ideology is about CP. So explore other things, explore open source, explore competitive programming, DSA at least, right?
Mm,
If not totally competitive programming. So explore things, and while exploring those avenues, you would always stumble upon a lot of opportunities and a lot of different other things. So I would say keep learning every day. Learn some, I mean, even if not new, I mean, keep reading every day, right? Don't
mm.
leave that trait of reading when you leave college. That is the most important trait which I would say you need for upscaling yourself from a service based company to a product based company. And usually the way a product based companies would hire is, I mean, it depends upon the company as well, but they hire folk based on their knowledge on language frameworks and whatever technologies they have worked on, right? But there is a huge number of companies which also uh, test you on your DSA skills, right? So
Mm,
pick your poison, and I would say work on it, right? Don't give any excuses that your project doesn't have any good opportunities. If they do not have opportunities, create one for yourself,
yeah.
either in project or in open source space. Create your projects in GitHub. Think about ideas, or they can be as crazy as anything, but then at least start implementing them, reach somewhere, and put that on GitHub. Right? That's your profile. A person
Mm,
would love to see, right? Even if you are not, say, good at data structures and algorithms, or you don't find it interesting, but if you find web development interesting, then put something out there in public so that people can see it, and they can see how good you're doing in it, and they can hire you at least on that basis. That's
thank you for your
my two
valuable
cents.
insights. Yeah. So, next question to Deep Jyoti. As a student, you have participated and mentored at GSOC, and also you participated at FOSSASIA Code Hit. Can you share some experiences you had while working on those projects, and how do those experiences help you in your career?
Okay. So yeah, I guess Coded was the first open source thing I participated in. It's like a 3 month or 1 month, I don't remember. It's a let's say a month long challenge wherein you know like you simply pick any of their repository or multiple repositories and keep sending pull request, getting your code merged. And the highest number and the top 10 people are the it's like the winners. And like yeah, they are the quoted winners. And so Fosasia had a lot of projects, which deals with, at that time at least. Now they are having more types and varieties of projects. At that time at least, they were mostly focused on web development. So in mostly JavaScript, Python, Java, Java Spring, then this thing, uh, Python Flask, Django wasn't there, but yeah, lots of web frameworks and web programming. So and at that time I was I was also learning building web projects, extensions, browser extensions. I enjoy building those things. They are real fun. So like somehow I thought that okay, these things are aligns with what I want to learn or what I am doing right now. So I started really small. Actually, my open source thing, it started even before FOSSASIA. It's like with Firefox. Like I was like, I need a big organization where a product which I have been using, and uh, like an organization which is sure short of getting a slot in Google Summer of Code, like,
Mhm.
and not like gets kicked away. So I was like, okay, I know I have been using Firefox, so why not try it here? So it was a small change. There was an alignment issue in one of the pages which you see in Firefox when your internet connection goes off. So I thought that okay, let's give it a try. So I asked the mentor, the maintainer, one of the maintainer of that component, like, can you help me out? Like, I'm a newbie and I don't know where this particular code is located. And Firefox repository is huge. I mean, you
Mm.
have like thousands of lines of code. So he told me exactly what to do, where to do. I made that change, and that that thing got pushed into master. Like Firefox takes around like a day to run test entire end-to-end testing on their browser, that your change is not breaking. Although it's a simple UI change, still they will run all the
Yeah.
end-to-end testing. So that was my first, taking a tiny, maybe one line or 3 to 4 line stuff directly from my laptop to Firefox source tree, following the entire deployment CD process. And that was like, I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like, now my code is part of a huge something which is huge
Huge
source tree,
product.
and people will be using it, no matter how small it is, no matter people will even notice it or not, but it's there. And it has my name on the commit, right? So that's the first thing which I learned, the entire flow, end-to-end flow, how you interact with a community, like how you get help from them. So the other thing which I learned while open source is you should never be shy when when you are stuck and you require help.
Mm.
You should never be shy, no matter how crazy your question is, how stupid your question is. No question is stupid, first of all. So how stupid you think your question is, you should never stop. You should simply jab people, ask people, hey, can you help me? What should I do? Like, where is this code located? So most of the time people will help you, sometimes people won't, and you will have to adjust. That is other thing which you learn, that all
Mm.
people are not helpful. Some people won't help you. You need to
Yeah.
figure yourself out. So yeah, these were some of the learnings in FOSSASIA. As I said, I apart from just coding with JavaScript or HTML or Java backend, I learned the other infra side also to some extent. So our org admin, he had this crazy idea. Okay, no more using web hosting thing. We will use GKE, which is managed Kubernetes used by Google.
Yeah.
Kaustav will be knowing better. So I was like, okay, and you can't just deploy anything on Kubernetes. Before that, you need to know another fundamental thing, which is containerization. You need to Dockerize your thing. So I was like, okay, let's see what it is. So I got a huge exposure in the infra side, how to package your application as a image, how to put it in a managed orchestrator. What is the orchestrator? What is containerization? These things I came to know, and I use these things on a day-to-day basis. Like in my present company, even if I want to do a simplest hello world, I need to write a Docker image for it. I need to put it into an orchestrator. So these things, like, directly I the first beginning of it, these things were during when I was contributing to FOSSASIA. So these things I learned. I learned the end-to-end software development flow, like how it is. It's not just about writing code; it's writing proper code which is well documented, because you are not the only guy or girl who is working on
Mm.
that project. Several other people are there who is working with you. So these kind of things, to be honest, competitive coding is good. It gives you more control on the language which you are learning, but these things competitive coding will never be able to teach you, right?
Mm.
uh, because these things require exposure to real world technologies, working with real people rather than an online judge, and actually interacting with people, taking their help, helping them. It's a two-way process.
Yeah.
So these things I learned from open source. Had I not done open source, I couldn't have done these things. Like I couldn't have got exposure to these things at such an early stage, right? So that's why I would suggest like CP is good. You will be requiring CP. Several companies will. The first barrier will be CP,
Mm.
but after that they would also want to know that like how many commits you have, how clean your code is it understandable. Like if I would like you, I used to initially I used to commit code with very ugly variable names, and I used to get kind of scolding like what kind of idiotic variable name is this. Obviously not in this tone, but in a very polite manner, like dude, you can't have code with this kind of function name or this kind of variable name, or just can't write 100 lines of code in a single function. You need to refactor it. So these kind of things you won't learn if you are not doing open source, or not not contributing to a big project which has
General
a number of
development.
people. Yeah, general development. So yeah, so I would say that yeah, these are the things open source helped me with, giving me exposure to a hell lot of things just when I was in college. Not even I didn't do any internship also at that time. So it's just from these working in these projects I got to know these things.
Okay. So to sum it up, it was open source gives you the opportunity to interact with people and also learn new technologies, which you won't be learning through your general curriculum, right?
Yeah,
Also, you said
general.
that,
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
general curriculum will be teaching you the theories, which is also very
yeah,
much important. It's not that I will not attend my networking class, but I expect to
mm,
contribute to maybe some networking related library. That's not happening. You have to read Tannenbaum or something to, or at least attend your SNSERS class to
yeah,
minimum know the basics of networking, right? So it will give you the theories, and while contributing, while interacting with the real world projects, you will know the application, right? So that's the difference.
and also to get started, you must pick a project and then, like, however small a change, maybe ask people about it and try to make your that first pull request is the most essential step to
Exactly.
the open
Yes.
source development, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we'll be moving on to Costa. How was your experience and the journey for the selection process at Google? How was it, your journey from the application process to the interviews?
So the application process went like I was contacted by a recruiter on LinkedIn, and they asked me that they have an opening and whether I would be interested in it. And it was
Okay.
a no-brainer. Obviously, I was very much
Yeah.
interested. So the interview process started. So that was the time when I actually started doing DSA and stuff. I hadn't done. I wouldn't say even much. I hadn't done any DSA before that process started. I mean, even before recruiter contacted me, I had started doing DSA and stuff. So those were pretty excruciating months, to be honest. Just because I had to learn a lot of stuff in a lot less time. And the way it went was, so after our first conversation, our first interview happened about 3 weeks, in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, something like that. So that was our telephonic interview where, again, I was asked a DSA question. So it went fairly well. Then after that, there was supposed to be on-site rounds. So on-site rounds, the way they happen is they invite you to their offices. They have 5 rounds, continuous rounds. I mean, for my case, and during that period, they had 5 continuous rounds in the same day. And all those rounds were, two of those rounds were DSA and coding. The other two were system integration and system design. Those are specifically for application engineers. So for application engineering role for which I'm working, they expect the candidate to know system design
Mm,
a bit, right? So they should know
yeah.
database design and class design, at least that stuff, and a bit of high level stuff as well, uh, even if they're at L3 level, right? So system design and system integration rounds were there. And then the last round was Googliness. So the entire process took somewhere around 2 months, and it took another 2-3 weeks to get my offer. So though I mean till the online on-site round, it was pretty difficult because I was pretty tense, because they just asked DSA and system design. I was comfortable with system design. I could design systems. I had worked on big systems. I had designed a big integrated system myself, but DSA was something which I was lacking. So I mean, I was practicing for hours every day,
Okay.
and just to get a hang of problem solving and how to solve any difficult problem. So that's how the application process went for Google for me.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a few questions from the audience. Deepjyoti Mondal asks to, sorry, it's an unnamed Muhammad Ajamatullah asked to the Deepjyoti, how to find a good open source community or resource to contribute to for beginners.
Okay, so one thing that comes top of my mind is go to previous years, Google some sort of code archive and check the projects, check the organizations. So it's likely that you will find some some good repositories, some good projects organizations there, and that is one thing how you can do it. Go to their project space, see what the project problem statement, or like what the project was is about, and see how many what are the complexity of the code, how big is the code base. So then only you can understand that it's beginner friendly or not. That is one way to do it. Other way can be like there are these things called several tech blog websites and tech
Mm,
sites like Hacker News, Medium is there, Reddit is there. So whenever a new project comes up or new organization comes up, they need to broadcast themselves, right? So usually they put links to their organization or links to some new feature they have launched in those websites. So try to keep a tap on those websites, those blogs. That is one way you can find out about beginners friendly open source thing, open source organizations. And apart from that, it's like I would suggest that don't wait for a new organization or a small organization, something like that.
mm,
When you are trying to contribute, just try to figure out what is the product you have been using for long, or you have been already using, but which you want to use, which kind of interests you. So it's like every open source, not every, like most of the open source organizations, they have this thing called good first bug. Like if you go to their
mm.
issues
Good
on GitHub,
first issue.
yeah, good first issue they have, where you can, where if you show your interest on this issue, they will directly pair you up with a maintainer or a mentor, right? So they're how, like, that's how your process begins. Like, so just see whatever products you like, whatever projects you want to contribute to, and see if it has a good first bug or mentored issue, those kind of things. So and it's not like that every issue is super complicated. There is also
Mm,
issues like someone wants to fix the color of a page, someone wants to fix the some indentation issue. Those if you don't find anything, just fix some lint issues. That's the best way to get started. Several of my friends started like that. I hope you guys know what is linting. So your
yeah.
typos, yeah, typos is another good thing. So on in documentation, so that's how you get entry. That's your entry point into the community. Once you are in the
Mm,
community, then you can simply ask someone, hey, I want to work in this issue, can you just help me? So yeah, just so don't wait about new, old, big, small organizations. Just try to find out for these issues, easy issues, and that's how, I mean, I would suggest you can do it.
Thank you. I hope that answers the question. Next, we'll be moving to Kaustav. I want to ask how important are referrals while switching jobs, and also for students applying to jobs and internships.
So yeah, referrals are while you're switching jobs, referrals definitely
Mm.
help you. I mean, but it also depends upon the company where you're trying to go for referrals. There are like I worked for Oracle and TCS, and if you refer a person in Oracle or TCS, there is no guarantee that their resume would ever be checked, right, or even considered. But then in Oracle, another thing is that if there is a requirement and you get to know who the hiring manager is, then you can talk to that hiring manager and say that this is a candidate and I think the candidate is good, and you can get the resume to be considered at least, right? I mean, it can be rejected just on the screening or during the interviews. That's a different thing. But the most important thing is getting the resume considered, right? So in those ways referrals work. But and let's talk about Amazon or Microsoft. I have floated my resumes in Amazon and Microsoft as well
Mm.
during while I was switching jobs. But um, the thing is, I did not get any calls from those referrals. At least I think I did not get. I may have got a call, but never got a call from Microsoft or from Amazon while they were referring me. I got a call months later, or just during the time I was asking them to refer, but not specifically. So in those companies, the way referral systems work is that they have a huge repository of resumes. I mean, that's how I try like to imagine it, think that it works at least. So and the way the referral system works is you refer a candidate, you provide the resumes, write something about them, and they are being referred. Now it depends upon the recruiter when they would want to pick those resumes up, right? However, there are other companies. I think in Facebook and in Google. In Google, it works in that way, and I think to a certain extent it works in Facebook as well. That once you refer someone, their candidature would be considered, right? And there is a stipulated time between which their candidature would be considered. Their resumes would be screened, and then they would either go for further interviews or they would be rejected at that point of time. So that's how a referral system usually works. So it's always better that you check how a referral system works. Referrals do work. I mean, they do. Uh, if you're trying to apply from a career page, um, and if you're trying to apply through via referral, then referral may or may not provide you an edge. But that edge ends at resume screening, right? There are certain instances when you can get to direct interviews, but then those are like in companies you need to know the directors, and at least you have should have worked with those kind of people, right? I mean, in certain projects or anywhere. Only in those scenarios things happen that, I mean, you get directly to interviews. Now, for freshers and interns, I think if you talk about referral system, right, the way referral systems were designed was that you refer a person you know or you have worked with, right? So a referral means, at least to me, to the extent I understand, the referral means that you are referring someone to the company whom you think would be good for that role. And how would you know a person is good for that role? A person
Yeah.
is good for that role if you have worked with that person. That becomes bit difficult for freshers and for internship roles usually. The reason is organizations get a lot of resumes from interns and freshers, and a lot of referrals from freshers and interns, right? So it gets a bit difficult to get selected just by referral system, right? Or it could take some time, right? I mean, it is kind of a skewed process in my opinion, and no one really knows how it works. I mean, who is outside the system, a person like me who's outside the system, we don't know how the actually recruiting system actually, at least I don't know how the recruiting system actually works. So
Mm.
one thing which I would say for internships and for first companies, when you're going for applications, do find people who can refer you, right? And do have some projects or do have certain portfolios ready with you. I mean, portfolios, when I say portfolios, it means projects or say your CP ranking or anything, right? And do have those things ready, and make sure whenever you ping the other person, you have those things ready. Put a small message which is readable with your credentials in there. I think that should help you with getting reference. And like Deepjyoti is very much into open source, right? A lot of times it happens that while doing open source, you meet people from different organizations, right? And when you work with them and they like you, they would refer you themselves. So open source is, again, I think, is a good platform. Again, the chances are, again, not really good depending upon what project you're working on, but then that is another medium by which you can connect with people. So I would say right now in today's era, the most important thing I would say is connecting with people, working with them, so that even when you are asking for a referral, they are confident in referring.
So,
That would be my take on it.
so
Yeah.
the referral system works, but the mileage may vary depending upon the company and their practices, right?
Yes, it hugely depends on that. Like in Google, if I tell you the referral system for freshers and interns, uh, it doesn't help much. Uh,
Yeah.
because the only reason is the number of applications they're getting, right? So I mean, for an experienced person, they consider that resume within a particular amount of time, right? They have some certain deadline there, under which they have to consider it. But for interns and for freshers, there is no such guideline. So it is pretty much indefinite. It could take from days to weeks to months.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. And we have Monica Saipriya asking to Devjyoti, what are the open source contributions that were done other than GSOC? And also there is another question, can you share a roadmap to crack GSOC? Like considering they are aiming for GSOC 2022, how should they approach it?
I guess it means now GLUG is not conducting that workshop anymore. I guess Road to
We
GSOC,
do, but this year
right?
it's not
Okay.
done. Last year
Okay.
we had one GSOC hit workshop.
Uh-huh.
This year we are yet to do
Uh-huh.
for
Okay.
2022.
So I guess apart from the internship, the GSOC internship, I guess as I said, I had I have some around 20 to 25 patches in Firefox, mostly the DevTools component and some of the Zool components. Now I guess most of the Zool components have been replaced by native JS, but at that time there used to be something called Zool, or tech they used to use in Firefox. So yeah, I used to contribute there. Apart from FOSSASIA, I have been contributing recently. By recently, I mean somewhere around last year or something. To there are some application. So there is an organization called HashiCorp. It creates distributed tools, mostly infra related tools. So I have contributed to a project called Console. I have I have a tiny patch in Prometheus. It's a monitoring system, like monitoring plus alerting system. Apart from that, I did contribute to some here and there, one tiny small in Varnish. I mean, whatever whenever when I'm working, whatever things I come across, I feel okay. This is interesting. Let's see. Let's have a look at the source code. Like for the console one, when I was using it, I knew okay, this is a very irritating bug, and this needs to be fixed. So I raised a pull request. It was a simple change, but still it went till 1 month, just to to and fro. So yeah, like this, I find out where to contribute. Apart from that, there was also this thing, this organization called Public Lab. One of my seniors used to contribute there, so I have a few patches over there. So yeah, like mostly here and there, whatever I have come across in my as a part of my job, or whatever I found out myself. I did contribute to some Puppet modules. So Puppet is a huge software in Ruby on Rails, which not Ruby on Rails, Ruby. Ruby on Rails is a framework. It's that is mostly used for server automation. Like you need to install Redis on, let's say, 100 servers, so you can write some Puppet code, use Redis module to do that. So yeah, I contribute to one such module. So yeah, it's
Okay.
mostly here and there. And road to GSOC, I guess, as I said earlier, start with the product you have already used. Some of you may have been using GNOME on Ubuntu, so you must be
Mm,
using GNOME Music. So you can give that a try. Or let's say some of you have been building browser extensions. So so there is an organization called OSI which builds browser extensions. So you can give that a try. And start small. Go to their repository, find out the student's bug or good first bug, those kind of things. First, comment on the issue that you want to. Don't just send a PR. Just comment on the issue that, hey, I want to work on it. Like then start working on a PR, send it. Join IRC channels. I know, like joining an IRC channel would mean you have to be awake late at nights, but yeah, if you are into it, you can join IRC channels. You can join corresponding Gitter channels. So join as many forums as you can where you can find people related to that organization. Introduce yourself. That is very important. You must introduce yourself like,
mm,
hey, I am this. I'm a newbie in open source. I want to contribute to your this project. This is the issue. Can someone please guide me? That helps. Like it
okay.
helps in most of the cases. So once you are done, like once like it's a continuous process. Once you are like enough confident enough, okay, like I know about this project now, maybe some component, and there is a prospective Google Summer of Code project on it. You can talk with your maintainer. Hey, I want to work on this. Is there any GSOC project coming up this year? So then like you can work with your mentor, write a proposal when the proposal time starts. And
Mm,
yeah, that's how the process starts as well. So you need to do a hunting, like hunting of good project or project which you like, which interests you, and start contributing it. Learn at the same time. If you are contributing to something which deals with maybe something on the OS, like it does some Linux utility which you are working on, and you don't know the basics of Linux. Maybe it's something related to file system, and you don't know how Linux file system works or that particular file system works. So that won't work. So there is where your theoretical knowledge comes into picture. You need to understand it. Then you keep contributing, you gain confidence, and then you finally approach your mentor for Google Summer of Code. And that's how it works. So this is the same thing which I did. I contributed a lot, so to Firefox as well as FOSSASIA. uh, the project was known as Locluck. It's a distributed scraping project. So I contributed there a lot. So I didn't require to tell my mentor that, hey, I want to do a Google Summer of project in this Google Summer of Code in this project. They already knew, okay, this guy is likely to apply for this. So yeah, so the more you contribute, and the more you keep learning the technologies you require to contribute, the more it will help you. So
Okay. Thank you. We have a question from the audience. Joyraj Longjam asks to Kaustav, how did you prepare DS Algo in such short time?
So it wasn't a short time. It was 3 months, around more or less around 3 months. And I'm not. I wouldn't say that I was good or I'm still any good in DSA, right? So the way it worked was I had to spend about 12 to 14 hours, even on weekends, uh, just to practice and catch up on DSA. The reason I was able to do that was because most of the work I was doing at that time in Oracle was known to me. We were doing some migration projects where our projects were being migrated from Ant to Maven, right? So I mean, even at that time they were using Ant in my project. So, but to most of my folks, Maven was new, but I had already worked on Maven. I had my own projects which I had done on Maven. So Maven was pretty easy for me. And whatever, I mean, if someone was taking a day or two doing something, I, I was taking a couple of hours maybe, right? So I used to complete my work early, and then I used to practice, right? And like I mentioned, it was 12 to 14 hours a day, which I had to spend. At least somewhere, sometimes it went 16 hours. I used to watch videos about explanations when I was eating, and I used to sleep, wake up. While traveling, I used to watch videos, right?
Okay.
So this is something which I would not recommend anyone to do, because just after doing this for 1.5 months, I got sick.
Okay.
I could not continue this. So then I consulted one of my friends that, look, this is something which is happening with me. Why is that? So he said, are you taking stress? I said, yeah, obviously I'm taking stress. I have to appear for interviews. So he said, just stop taking that stress. So I had to reschedule my entire thing, and I used to take breaks, an hour break, 2 hours break, or just eat in peace. And I had to do a lot of shuffling with my schedule, right? Take enough sleep. I was just sleeping for 4 hours during those times. I was like, if I could do it back then during my ITJ preparation, why not now? That thing doesn't work like that.
Okay.
So the thing is, it's a progressive journey, right? Uh, do DSAs daily. Don't think that if X person could do it, I can do it too. Your, I mean, people do it in 3 months and they become
Mm.
experts. I couldn't do it, right? But the point which I'm trying to make here is that learn DSA every day. If you are into DSA, if you want to crack companies who ask DSA, then learn DSA every day, right? Do 2 questions, 3 questions, 10 questions, whatever it is, right? Easy, maybe just don't do hard questions. Do the easy ones, right? But practice every day. Like one of the seniors in TCS said to me that try to code every day, right? Even if it's a one line of code or 1 hour of code. The same goes with DS as well. Don't try to think that you would be able to do it in a month or two. People usually are not able to do that, and even if they try to do it, it is very harmful for your health.
Maintaining a balance is important. You need to keep. You need to be at your full health to continue.
Exactly, and if you're not in your full health after a few weeks, then I mean,
It's all
and if you
useless.
it's all useless. If you fall ill just before the
Mm.
interviews, or if you are not able to continue it, it's not going to help you.
Okay, so we have another question from the audience. I'd like to direct this to the panel. Nirvik Agarwal asks, there are a lot of up and coming technologies which have a great potential, right? So, what would you advise a student to learn in these times? Like, what would you prefer that a student should learn? Would you suggest someone who is still in the learning process?
Okay, I'll take a stab at it. What I would say is that there are certainly a lot of technologies out there. There are a plethora of languages and frameworks available. That shouldn't bother you.
Mm.
The first thing which you should know is that the first step, in my opinion, is pick pick a language which you would want to master. I mean, obviously, you cannot master a language, but it takes a lot of time and effort. Yes, so pick a language, learn it, right? Then always have some ideas. I mean, it doesn't matter what idea it is, just have an idea to create a to-do list, right? I mean, as trivial as that. So create a to-do list, create it yourself. Now use a front-end techno. Now you have to select what framework I should use. Just select one framework and just create your application. You want to use some front-end application framework for that. Which one should you choose? Just choose one and do it, right? Don't procrastinate long upon which technology you want to go with, right? Every technology in our space has its own benefits and its own disadvantages as well. So just pick one, learn about it, see what are the difficulties you may face, and what are the things which you could do easily, and try to search about those things on the internet. That okay, if this thing was difficult in this particular language, then where was it easy, in which other framework it could be easy. Try to learn that framework next, right, and see how it works out. So I have spent a lot of time in procrastinating which framework to choose, and I've noticed that at the end of the day, I couldn't learn that. Just for example, if I give you an example, I still don't know how. I still haven't written a single line of code in Java Spring, and I call myself a Java developer, right? And if I go in market and say tell this someone that I don't know Spring, they would mock me. How can you be a Java developer if you don't know Spring? Right? So because I procrastinate a lot in learning Spring, and finally, I mean, we do not use Spring at all. We did not use Spring at all in Google or Oracle as well. So, but most of the companies use Spring, right? But they are not used in the companies which I have worked in. So it doesn't matter which frameworks you choose, just choose one and learn. Because while you're learning a framework or you're learning a language, the most important thing is there are certain concepts which you learn while learning a language. Like there are many important concepts which I have learned while doing projects in Ruby on Rails. They have a very opinionated way of structuring their code and providing infrastructure to the developer in which they should write their own code, and that is pretty good in my opinion, compared to other languages like frameworks like Spring, not Spring, but basically the REST frameworks which you have for Java, right? Those concepts were not present, or at least I did not see those concepts used in other frameworks which were already available in PHP, not PHP, sorry, Ruby on Rails, right? We used to implement those concepts via different tools, but something that fascinating was present in Ruby on Rails. So, and most people don't learn Ruby on Rails. I mean, I think even with students, they would go for Flask,
A
Django,
more simpler one based on Python or JavaScript.
based on Java or Python, JavaScript, right? Uh, they would be going Node and Express. They might not get those concepts which were there in Ruby on Rails. So doesn't matter which framework you choose. Even with Express and with Spring, there are a lot of amazing concepts on which they are working, right? And it's just not the framework you're using. Try to learn the concept with which they have been built, and the concept around which people like to work on them, right? That is the important part. And while you are understanding those concepts, you would get to know that okay, these concepts have been used in these other languages or frameworks as well, or these are the concepts which are better implemented in these frameworks. This is, and then you explore more and more and more and more. You read documents, you read blogs, YouTube, or whatever.
So knowing what problem you want to solve is most important in choosing a technology while learning, right?
Yes, right.
So the next question I'd like to uh, direct to you both. What skills did you focus while preparing for your placements? Like what kind of skills did you focus that helped to get you placed?
So yes, I can take that.
Thank you.
So Uh, okay, this I guess I can answer it in two ways. Basically, everyone I believe is not from ITCS here. So, firstly, for like CSIT, I would not IT, it's vanished. Only for the CS people, I would say, don't in name of skills, don't avoid what you are learning in your classrooms, right? That is important. Right now, you might not be understanding that, but it is. People might tell you like क्या होगा ये सब पढ़ के मतलब do spend more time on CodeChef, more on Spot Top
Mm,
Coder, but truly that's not true. It's just a elimination round. After that, in the next face-to-face round, they will ask you concepts. If you don't know your theory, you won't be able to answer those questions, right? Like the what Kaustav was saying, system design. System
mm,
design, CP won't help you in system design. You need to know some concepts. Even there are companies which will ask you system design in college as well. It's not only for experienced people. So there, if you know your concepts well, you can easily crack those questions with whatever you know. So I would say the first thing when you are whatever you are learning some XYZ skills or whatever, try to have your basics clear. That is very important. So you might have solved 40 questions on lead code, but in the next round, if you can't answer what is the process, the interviewer will simply lose his or her mind, right? So that is one thing. And other thing is, whenever any, like as Kaustav said, there are lots of technologies that are coming up, but you can just go with whatever whichever interests you. The other thing is, whenever you are learning something, just don't learn it blindly. Like Spring has lots of decorator. That is simply crazy. Okay, it
Hmm.
has, but try to know what those decorators do under the hood. If you are using, let's say, Flask, you are using a route. So learn to know what route is. Can you, if Flask was not there, can you create your own route? If let's say Gunicon was not there, could you have created your own web browsers? Well, sorry, web server or
Server.
application server. So that things you need to be very clear with what you are using.
Hmm.
Like whatever piece of technologies are just wrappers on some core concept. So those things you have to understand. So that is very important while you are upskilling yourself or learning something. So if you you may be doing some like 10 questions on red black tree, but at the same time you don't know how let's say, for example, the OS maintains the process tree in its under the hood. So you know red black tree, but you don't know that that thing is used here because you haven't tried to read about it or learn about it. You simply blindly kept doing the DSA questions. So that thing is important because as I said, you cleared the first round, but in next round, if you are not able to answer these kind of simple questions, you are like the other person will lose his or her mind. So that is one thing. And apart from that, it's the same thing for learning skills. It should be in a T shape, right? Like pick one language, pick one framework, and try to know most out of it, right? So that is this part of your T, like the T letter I am talking about. So pick one thing, pick one domain, pick something and try to learn as much as possible. Try to be a pseudo expert on it. You can't be an expert, but try to be a pseudo expert on it. And the other thing of the T is your breadth of what else you know. So it can, let's say you are specializing in web development, but at the same time you should know about the underlying infrastructure and everything. You can learn something about data science. You can learn something about AI, ML, some things which you don't want to focus completely on, but you want to know about it. So it should be like a T. So that is something which will help in your interviews as well, because you know what the field you expertise in, but at the same time you know other stuff also. You know other skills also. That is one thing. I guess, of course, you want to add something to this.
No, I mean, I
Kaustav.
totally agree with you. I mean, if I tell you about my placements, I don't think it will help you much because the only options I had with me were TCS and other companies where we had to learn LRN and analytical questions. I was in my interview question. I was asked, "How would you add to integers?" I think most of us know that here. So, I mean, yeah. But what Devjyoti mentioned, right? Totally plus one to that. I mean, I second that entirely.
Do you have any advice for core branch students who do not have a very strong technical background? Kaustav?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you go ahead,
Well,
Kostav. I can add
I
anything if you.
think okay. I mean, I think you should go with it because I'm not very qualified for this question.
So again, like Nikhil, you asked about core as in like the non CS grads or the CS grads, right?
Non-CSIT. Non-CSIT.
Okay, I believe then after this, both of you, please add something because you will be the live example, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I won't take much time on this. It's like keep a very friendly, no matter like if you hate a person or you love a person, but keep a good friendly relation with the CS people. Try to keep a tap on what they are learning in their classes. You will have to be you will be into coding. Like everyone nowadays in college does coding, even if coding is not in there in the curriculum, but still they do. So that part is common, right? You don't have to be dependent on a classroom program to upskill on that. Apart from that, as I said, that in order to get into some good companies, there will be some non-coding like questions from which will require concepts. So I would suggest keep a tap on your CS friends. Uh, Try to build a group with them. See what they are learning. Take advice from the proper people, not who are actually doing stuff, not from the other group of people. But yeah, try to have overviews of, okay, let's say you are from electrical, you don't know what networking OS is, but just try to pick up any book, ask them, pick up any book, search online, do a course on maybe Udemy or something like this. Get a basic understanding of those things so that it helps you later. Yeah, over to you, Kaustav.
So I would answer this question in two parts. So the question which Nikhil you phrased was core people who are not very good with technology. Now the part here is that the technology I think you meant with computer science and coding, right?
Computer science.
So let's say if the first thing I would say that is computer science certainly has a lot of jobs, and they certainly have a lot of high-paying jobs, and such high-paying jobs that it could be difficult to get such high-paying jobs, maybe in core branches, right? But think it from a perspective that how many people get such kind of jobs? Not much. And believe me, because there are only a few companies who pay such amounts, and there are a lot of candidates for that. So let's say if you're not good with technology and if you have interest in your own branch, I would say go with it, right? Learn whichever branch you are in, learn those concepts, and go for a core job. Core jobs also pay pretty good, right? And we have, I think we still have PSUs,
Mm.
coming to our colleges.
Yeah.
Prepare for them. If not PSUs, then for mechanical, our college has a very good placement record for mechanical as well, right? So companies like Daimler and that company with Alstom, these kind of companies, used to come, and I hope they are still coming to our colleges. So they pay fairly good amount of salaries, right? And it doesn't mean that if you're not good in technology, you have to be in IT field, right? In computers, you don't need to go to computers because there are a lot of opportunities present elsewhere, right? Don't put a blind eye towards that, I would say. Now, to the folks who are interested in technology, but they are not very good at technology, well, you need to decide which way you have to go first. So, if you want to be in go in technology, you think you are not good with whatever, you're not interested in whatever they're teaching in your branch, but you want to go in technology, but you are not good in technology, then I would say first pick up a book, pick up a language you want to learn. Now, learning a language like C or C++ could be kind of a headache for you to learn by yourself. But if you give it a try, it can teach you things which most people, 90% of the folks don't know. Even I don't know because I don't know C, C++. But I've tried to learn those concepts in other ways during my tenure. Right, but they teach you concepts in memory management and in pointers which other languages just do not have, right? Or if you want to go in an easier way, I would say go with Python, right? Or go with JavaScript, right? Maybe Java if you are into it. So pick a language if you're not. I mean, if you think that you're not good with right now, you're not good with technology, and try to learn that language well. Like Deepjyoti mentioned, you don't need to become a master, right? And try to understand data structures and algorithms. You don't need to do CP. no need to do competitive programming, or no need to solve lead code questions. Understand the data structures and algorithms and why were they developed, right? There is a algorithms Bible,
Mhm.
Corman, CLRS, right?
Yes.
Try to read it as a storybook first, right? No need to go into depth if you don't understand the mathematics, or the concepts. Try to read it as a storybook. You would get the idea behind what people are thinking while designing those algorithms, right? The thought process is very important. Once you understand the thought process, you would start getting some interest, and once you start getting some interest, slowly and gradually you will get good in technology, right? Once you understand the concepts, you understand the language, build a small application, right? The ones which I have started with, let's say employee management, right? It's the next step of hello world, I would say. So you add employees, you delete employees, basically CRUD operations. CRUD operation means create, read, update, and delete. Try to do those operations in memory, right? That's the next step after you have learned your coding and your language. Try to do a simple CRUD operation, in memory CRUD operation with your own language, right? Maybe a library, with a library system or an employee system, right? Once you have done that, after the language, I would say another important piece is decide whether you want to go towards databases or you want to go towards front end. So if you want to go towards front end, then learn uh, about front end technologies. Learn how JavaScript works. Learn how CSS works. Learn how HTML works, right? And create a very simple web application using just JavaScript, HTML, JS, maybe, because they are pretty simple. No one uses them anyway, but then they are pretty simple to create, do
Even
the groundwork for you,
understanding.
do the groundwork for you, right? Right. And if you want to move to databases, you have your RDBMS courses in your curriculum, right? I hope so. Learn that. I mean, understand at least. I mean, you don't need to prepare for your exams, but understand why normalization is important, right? What is indexing, right? And how does sorting happen in databases? So these particular concepts are very much entangled with the data structures which you're learning, and the algorithms which you're learning in your books. So try to connect the dots between the two, and once you see that the concepts you're learning are just not the concepts which are used in theory, but they are actually implemented somewhere, you would start getting interest. And that's how you learn, and that's how you get better at technology, right? That is what I think you should do if you're interested in technology, but you think that you are not currently at a very good stage. And everyone starts from somewhere, right? I mean,
Mm.
Deep Jyoti started in first before college,
Mm.
right? And I started after college. So everyone starts somewhere. Deep Jyoti has amazing projects in open source. I, I I I I went to contribute towards an open source. I couldn't do it, so I just started creating my own projects, right? But that doesn't mean that we are stopping somewhere. If you think that certain thing is not cut for you, try to do something different, right? Technology is a vast ocean of knowledge, and there is a lot of things which you can do there. That's the power you get with computer science. You have your entire lab just in front of you on your lap.
Okay. Thank you, Costa, for this very insightful answer. We have been talking for over an hour, and this has been very, I'd say, very enlightening for myself as well. Uh, it was really nice to talk with you guys. And so, with this, I would like to conclude our session for today. Thank you, Kaustav and Deepjyoti, for taking out your precious time of your busy schedules and sharing these valuable insights from your life and careers. I hope our viewers have drawn a lot of knowledge and inspiration from our wonderful panelists. So, to the audience, we will see you again tomorrow at 12 p.m. Then we'll have Mr. Ankush Mandal to answer your doubts regarding higher studies and foreign education and everything in between.